Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this Your Party Hustings for the Central Executive Committee elections for East Midlands. My name is Jordan Craw. I'll be chairing today's event. So the purpose of this hustings is to give members the opportunity to hear directly from candidates standing for elections and also to ask questions before voting. So just wanted to say as well, we follow a standard format across all the regions. So it will be an opening 1 minute, it'll be a 90-second opening statement from each candidate. Then there will be 5 questions with 90 seconds for each candidate to answer. Then at the end, there will be 1 minute closing remarks in reverse order, just to ensure everyone has fair time to consider the questions. So yeah, to ensure fairness, timings will be strictly enforced, and I will give a 15-second warning to ensure that candidates have got enough time to wrap up. If you go over by 5 seconds, I will have to mute you, I'm afraid. So just to go over some ground rules before we get started, just wanted to ask that everyone engage respectfully, that this is a democratic process and that all candidates must be treated equally, although I'm sure you all seem lovely people, so I'm sure that's fine. So what I wanted to do is just start off with the candidate introductions, and this is going in reverse ballot order. So if it's possible, can we start with Anjona, please?
Hi everybody, my name's Anjana Roy. I'm standing for the CEC. I'm a unison activist. I'm standing on the grassroots left campaign along with other grassroots left candidates. I'm an active trade unionist in Unison, operating at a regional and national level with the community sector. I've got a background in kind of campaigning against the far right, both against the British National Party, UKIP, and currently working with local organisations and trade unions on fighting reform in my local area. As a job of work, I work for a local charity delivering immigration, discrimination advice and hate crime support. And this puts me in the front line in terms of supporting really vulnerable people. I'm standing on a platform of maximum member democracy. We need a Your Party that is inclusive of everyone, has great member involvement, has great access, regardless of people's ability, disability, and also respect for all people of loads of left opinions. I would like to be in a party with a really broad church of left opinions, and I want to be in a party where there are no more witch hunts against people on different sides of the left. We need to build a mass movement workers' party, and we need to be working in order to deliver that electoral success that we desperately need. The UK is desperate for a left party, and we need to do all in our power to be delivering it for them.
Perfect. Thank you very much. If we can next move on to Anwarul Khan, please. Oh, I think you're muted at the moment. There we go.
I'm Anwarul Khan, and I'm standing for the CEC in the East Midlands. Now, why am I standing? I could tell you the world is on fire and we need to change it, but you already know that. I could tell you about my work building local proto branches in Leicester and co-founding a network of proto branches that covers 37% of the UK. I'm actually standing because the current leadership has reneged on the promise of a member-led party. It's made a mockery of the democratic processes, whether it was the black box regional assemblies, or we didn't even have one in the whole of the Midlands. The 3,600 amendments that were never discussed, the gerrymandered voting options at conference, e.g. ban now or ban later, the repeated delays in the election process. The stewards of the process are overseeing the elections that they are actually standing in. No independent arbiters. Today, even today's Hustings was announced 2 days ago and the format last night. The many slate want an autocratic party where you fall in line behind one person. I want one that is inclusive of various socialist traditions and voices. I will not rubber stamp I will not be rubber stamping decisions made by unelected, unaccountable bureaucrats. We demand grassroots-led party, not an establishment party. Democracy or autocracy, that's your choice. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anwarul. I'm going to move on to now Riaz Khan.
Can you hear me? Hello. Yeah, sorry about the camera, guys. Well, my name is Riaz. I'm standing for the CEC in East Midlands. I'm born and bred in Leicester, son to immigrant parents who both came in the late 50s and early 60s. They both worked in factories and were working class. So I've always struggled with poverty. Our family always struggled with poverty and being working class. My parents worked so hard to make ends meet, and they ended up both becoming disabled and having dementia. So I understand the care services as well, where there was limited care services. So I understand all that as well. I've always been an activist from such a young age because I suffered racism at school and in my teenager years. I mean, basically being active fighting the EDL, demonstrating against them. Also, I helped organise demos about Palestine before the genocide and during the genocide. I spoke at these events and also hosted these events. I'm also really, really strong about BDS. I've also mixed. I've also mixed many communities in Leicester: Hindu communities, Black communities, Sikh communities, the white communities, the elderly, the young. I've got my foot in every single community. Everybody knows who I am because I've got a strong social media presence as well, which I think would be an advantage for if I became CEC candidate. If I was elected for CEC. I work for Help the Aged. I've given talks in schools about knife crime and gang violence. I'm also trusted for Help the Homeless in Leicester, so I understand the plights of the homeless. I also, at the moment, I'm working as an educator. I work in education, supporting international students. So my job is about helping people navigate complex systems and making sure no one gets left behind and handling things fairly and calmly.
If you can
That's exactly the approach I'd like to bring to the CEC. My focus is simple: better communication, real consultation with members, because members are the backbone. They're definitely the backbone. And I'm not here for internal battles.
Sorry, comrade, your time's up now, I'm afraid. Thank you very much. If I can now move on to Louise Reagan, please.
Hi, everyone. My name's Louise Reagan. I'm standing for the CEC here in East Midlands. I'm a teacher. I've taught for over 30 years in primary schools across Nottingham. I've been active in my trade union throughout that time, building in my workplace, but also building local community campaigns around school cuts, around attacks on education, and engaging with community members about pushing back against things like austerity. I've held various roles within my trade union, both at a local and a national level, and been very involved in organising key campaigns for our union. I'm very involved in campaigning for justice for the Palestinian people. I've been involved for decades, speaking out at local, national and international events around the injustice that the Palestinians have faced over decades. And I'm very pleased that the many have today launched a campaign, your party, to say that your party would be very vocal going forward in the campaign for justice for the Palestinian people, who as I say, have suffered for decades. I'm also involved in lots of other international solidarity work. Today I'm in London speaking at the Latin America Conference about the situation in Cuba and Venezuela. But I'm also active in campaigning for workers' rights and justice across the globe, both through my trade union, but also through a number of other organisations that I am involved in, particularly around Turkey and Colombia. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much for those introductions, guys. I am just going to move on to the next section now, which is a question and answer section. There's going to be 5 questions. And they're going to be delivered in alternating order, just so everyone's got an equal chance of considering the questions as they've been asked. So I'm just going to move on to the first question, which will be, what experience have you got that makes you well suited to serve on the CEC? And if we can start with Louise, please.
Okay, thanks very much. I think my experience, particularly within my trade union, active roles there, do give me the skills that I think are necessary to be a member of the CEC, certainly in terms of engaging with members, listening to people's views, thinking about how things are organised, Within my own union, I've been on our conference committee for decades, have lots of experience in how to organise and run effective events for people and allow for maximum engagement and participation. I also think that my experience through my Palestine solidarity work, but also other international work, puts me in a good place to think about key policies that I think are important.
Perfect. Thank you very much. We'll move now next on to Riaz Khan.
I have lived experiences within the community. I mean, I have a strong online presence, constantly engaging with all types of people. I've organised demos against Israel and Palestine, like I mentioned before. I'm also a trustee for Help the Homeless in Leicester. So we look at governance, sticking to its mission, like helping the homeless and vulnerable, having a clear strategy, money being used properly and lawfully, having foresight, etc., etc. I was also on Shawkat Adams' campaign team, and it was me who suggested that Shawkat stand for the candidacy. And guess what? We made history. We beat Labour. The first time in Leicester South ever. Got rid of Jonathan Ashworth. I have a strong grassroots activism and community credibility. People in the community know me from all parts of the community. This has given me a clear understanding of what members need for the party and at ground level as well, grassroots level. I am committed, to democratic member-led sort of politics based, and I'll bring that, and I would bring in an independent, principled, community-rooted voice, because obviously I'm a voice at grassroots level to the national leadership of the party. I think that's what I'll do.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Riaz. I am just going to now move on to Anwarul. If you want to answer the question, please.
Yeah, so I initiated and pulled together local activists and different socialist groups in Leicester to develop what became the Leicester and Leicestershire project branch. We've got over 500 people in our supporters groups and WhatsApp groups, etc. Right? And actually, I organised an assembly to start that off. And with that assembly, it was about listening to members and not telling them what to do. When I say members, supporters, ordinary members of the community. These are the things that I would be doing going forward. I also founded the Connections Network, started this process last year, where we have representatives, elected representatives from proto branches from about 37% of the UK constituencies is covered in this network. There, we actually listen to each other, learn from each other, and collaborate. I'm actually already doing the national work that needs to be done, the listening exercises that need to be done, and in order to make this party a success. I've also been the national organizer at Transform, and where we've been building from day one inclusive practices where we're bringing in other allies from across the country to talk and actually build and actually fight as a unified socialist movement. So I've got significant experience in working at this level and actually building on the ground. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Just going to move now on to Anjona.
Thank you. So, firstly, through my trade union work, I have experience working across the East Midlands. Here I am, straight after a trade union meeting in not so sunny Lincoln. So I have experience of working across the ground, across all of the areas of the East Midlands, Northamptonshire, Leicestershire, Nottinghamshire, Derbyshire, and Lincolnshire. Also to say, I'm an active member of our Northampton proto branch, and so I've got that experience of the direct issues that recently formed and forming branches have, and the real issues about not having the infrastructure needed to kind of get up and campaign. As a trade unionist, I've got a background in workers' struggles, also in terms of organising and managing really passionate people who have very, very different opinions to be able to come together in a united cause. I've also had experience as a Labour councillor, both on Northampton Borough Council and Northamptonshire County Council, so I know what governance looks like, and I know how electoral politics can work where kind of the grassroots voices don't get heard. So that's what I'm really passionate about. I've also had good experience of challenging, both as a councillor, as a trade union activist, but also even in terms of these processes within your party. We can do better. We can do better for members and for branches, even in terms of this hustings.
I'm just going to have to end it there, I'm afraid. Thank you very much, Anjona. Sorry about that. Okay, so I just need to move now on to the second question. I'm going to flip the order just so everyone's got an equal amount of time to consider the questions. So the second question will be, how will you ensure you are accountable to members in the region once elected? And if we can start that off with Anjona, please. Thank you.
So, as I've said, I have experience of being in a governance role. So as a Labour councillor, part of my remit was to regularly report back. I did this through surgeries and leaflets and reports. And, you know, I did that on a regular basis, certainly, and it was a key campaign commitment of mine. Certainly as a trade union activist, there's a requirement that we report back and be accessible for people. I think it's really important we make all of your party accessible. So things like kind of being able to be accessible throughout the region, having online sessions where I can be accessible to people. I mean, in terms of myself and Anwar, and as Anwar said, he's doing the work already in terms of promoting these the need for more member orientated structures in which branches can really flourish and we can gain electoral success.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And then moving swiftly on to Anwar, please.
Yeah, well, the most important thing we need to make sure that members actually know who we are and who each other is. There's no, at the moment, we've had to scrape the information from social media and go out there and try to find members. So that's the first most important thing. If you want to be able to speak and stay in contact, we need to actually have processes where people can be contactable. That's our first thing that needs to be done. The next thing is, of course, I've been developing the local branches and networks nationally, including in the East Midlands. We are connected, but do we know everybody? We're already doing weekly meetings in the Connections Network with representatives of those meetings. I'm already we've done local assemblies, and I'd want to be doing more of those where we actually speak to ordinary people, as well as getting our members involved in those conversations. We need to do different types, not just online meetings, not just Zoom calls or hybrid meetings. We need to go out, maybe have a coffee sessions. We need to make spaces accessible to people and meetings that are accessible to everybody, and look at the way in which and particularly those with disabilities are often kind of forgotten about in the conversation about accessibility, as well as parents and workers and who are on shift works. Quite often, I'm unable to, I work in the evenings, so struggle to get to meetings. So we need to find ways in which we can make sure that everybody is included with the various different tools that exist out there. Thank you so very much.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And I will move on to Louise.
Thanks very much. Yeah, I think, obviously we need to be accessible to members. And as others have said, we have to do that in a variety of ways. There is no one right way to be accessible. We need to ensure that members have opportunities to speak directly to us in face-to-face meetings, in informal situations. Some people don't like going to formal meetings. They would rather be at a social event where they're able to talk more informally. And we also need to make sure that we have places that are accessible and that our events are accessible to all. And if that means providing hybrid options, ensuring that some things are done online, then that is what we have to make sure that we do as individuals. We have to be as accessible to the membership as possible. But we also have to use that to reach out to the communities that we are based in to ensure that we're building a wider network of people that are committed to what we are doing. And I think that that is also a very important part of the work that we need to do.
Excellent. Thank you very much, guys. So I'm just going to move on to the third question now.
Oh, you forgot me.
Oh, my apologies. My apologies.
Okay.
My bad. Sorry, I was at the wrong bit.
Right, you're forgiven.
I will move on to Riaz now. Not forgotten.
Basically, I'd like to be open, transparent, accessible. I'd hold surgeries. I'll even go to people's houses if needed. I provide regular updates on CEC decisions, explain how and why the decisions are made, and will be open and honest, because honesty is a key to everything. Members will be able to contact me directly, and I'll listen to grassroots concerns and report back honestly after meetings. And if I get challenged, so be it. I welcome that, because that's what democracy is. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. Apologies for skipping you there. I won't make that mistake again. Okay, so just moving on to the third question then. So we've got the East Midlands is a mixing pot of communities and faiths. How will you bring people together? And I'll just start with Louise, please.
Yeah, I mean, it is, and it's a great place that we live. I love living in the East Midlands. And I think that we do that by reaching out to all of those communities, by talking to them about their issues and their concerns. Much of that work I'm already doing through my trade union activism and through community campaigns that I am involved in. But if we don't allow people to have their voice heard, if we don't involve all of those communities, then we are at risk of leaving people behind. And we don't want to do that. We want this to be an inclusive, outward-facing party that is fighting for justice and for the rights for all of those within our communities. That is what I have done for decades now, and that is what I will continue to do if elected. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So I am just going to move on to Riaz.
Okay. I've lived in Leicester all my life and lived and have had an experience of all communities and faiths. I know the communities and they all know me, and we've all come together on commonality, not rather than what divides us, basically. The recent riots in Leicester we had a few years ago, I was one of the main peacekeepers bringing the two communities together, and it's an example of what I can do. I was like the go-between. Even when the far right came, the right wing came to Leicester, I helped bring communities together against the EDL. My online presence also helps me engage with people from all backgrounds, being respectful when debating and listening. I believe this builds trust. And unity is so important from our communities because, especially at a time like this, where the far right are getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So we need to come together in commonality. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. I will move on next to Anwarul.
Yeah, well, look, this is the one thing that we definitely don't want to do is be imposing candidates on local communities. We also definitely don't want to only turn up during elections. That's really important. What we do need to be doing is going into the communities and talking to them, right? And importantly, listening to them, which is where those assembly type formats are so powerful and really important. The ones we've done was really exciting, but we haven't been able to do any more for various reasons because we've been caught up in traditional politics, and that's something we need to avoid. We also have to remember that it's not just cities that we focus on, that the shires are really important, that when we are talking about multicultural communities, the East Midlands is more than just the city spaces. And so we need to do work by making sure that we go into those spaces and listen to those spaces. We also need to make sure that we are inclusive of the different socialist traditions, because guess what? Those factions are quite often embedded in those communities doing the work that actually we need to be doing on a daily basis and not just during election times. So we need to make sure that we are an inclusive organization that has lots of different voices that are able to express themselves in the party machinery, so that actually when we go into the communities, we're not going in there blinkered with one tunnel vision and one mindset. I think that's really, really important. Our culture in the party will be expressed into our community work. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I will move on to Anjona, please.
Thank you for that. In terms of bringing people together, our region is exceptionally diverse. We need to be open and accessible for people, where we are listening to everybody. Part of that is ensuring access, and some of that is about, appropriate venues, accessible venues, reasonable adjustments, particularly for people with disabilities. But also it's about ensuring that, people have the means to become engaged and involved by giving appropriate notice. People are on shift works. People do need notice to accommodate care considerations. We need to do this using our membership resources. We've got an amazing amount of people who currently are feeling really isolated because branches haven't been allowed to develop in a proper way, and we need to be doing that and empowering local branches so they can be doing community campaigns and doing what's right for their community. We also need to be doing things where we're saying that it is inclusive. People from a variety of socialist traditions can come and get involved, and that critically means no more witch hunts. What's happening now, what has happened over the conference, doesn't send that message. We do need to have that change in culture.
Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate that. Okay, so I'm just going to move on to the fourth question, and we'll just put that. So we've got John from East Midlands is asking, what is your attitude towards common ownership of infrastructure, utilities, and strategic industries, and how can we put that into action? So I will start off with Anjona, please.
So, as a trade unionist from our public sector union, I'm very in favour of nationalisation. I'm in a union where we've seen the dire consequences of privatisation of so many different things, water in particular, but so many different things, kind of transport. And you also see the kind of creeping privatisation that is taking place, not only in local government, but scarily enough, the NHS as well. So in terms of common ownership, definitely something that needs to be on your party agenda, and definitely needs to be something that we're seeking to put into legislation once getting power. But it's also about getting workers together. It's getting workers together to try and put alternative proposals. There have been things like the Lucas Plan and that kind of thing, where we can actually get workers to be trying to make the decisions about the services that they're actually delivering, because generally you will get the better, more efficient options there.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Anjona. I will move on to Anwarul, please.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if anyone on either slates is not for nationalisation of natural monopolies. If there is something that you have no choice but to pay for, right, it must be nationalised. Now, actually, there's been a little bit of hay made about this term, nationalise the economy. But you know what? That's really interesting, because I actually think we need to understand what it means. It means we need to make sure that not only are the national rail service nationalised, but make sure that our local businesses have a level playing field, and that multinationals don't have these advantages that are given to them, whether it's discounts and when coming into shopping centres, so that local family-owned businesses are not competing in an unfair playing field. We need to make sure that Amazon actually pays its taxes, so that our high streets are not playing in an unfair playing field. We need to think not about how we grow the economy for the growth's sake. We need to be thinking about how not to not to have an economy for shareholders, but for its people. There's a whole different way of thinking that we need to be actually coming at this at. Cooperatives, for example, hugely important in the 2008 crash in Catalonia, in saving the economy there. That was about businesses that are cooperatively owned. We need to think differently about it. So yes, absolutely, we need to be thinking about nationalizing so many different parts of our economy.
Excellent, thank you very much. I will move on now to Riaz.
I would definitely support democratic public ownership across the economy. Not just utilities and the rest of rail, but also areas like steel. I mean, there needs to be a genuine common ownership, not the usual top-down nationalizations that we see. And your party can help develop these plans, including workers from all these sectors. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you very much. I will move on to last, Louise, please.
Thanks very much. Yes, obviously, as has been said, I don't think anybody would be opposed to this. I should imagine not a single Your Party member would be opposed to democratic public ownership. I certainly, in my job as a teacher, see the impact of what is happening in our communities on a daily basis in terms of austerity measures. We live in a very rich country, yet we are seeing more and more children being plunged into poverty by the acts of this government and previous governments. And there are other things that we obviously could do, including wealth taxes, which have been mentioned. The question also asked how. So at the moment, I think one of the key things to do is to build workers and ensure that they're engaged in trade unions and really start to empower our trade union movement. That we should also be pushing back against the repressive trade union laws that are still in place, and make sure that we allow workers to push back and organise for things that are right for them, but also educate them about alternatives that are available and different ways of doing things. So I think there are plenty of opportunities for us with this.
Excellent, thank you very much. Okay, so we are on to the last question now, question number 5. So question number 5 is, we've had a lot of member questions around Palestine. What have you done to support the Palestinian cause, and how will you ensure your party does the same if you were elected to the CEC? So I'll start again with Louise, please.
Okay, I mean, I've campaigned for justice for the Palestinians for decades. I have visited Palestine many times. I have many Palestinian friends, and I am heavily involved in the Palestine Solidarity movement in the UK. I've spoken at local, national and international meetings about the situation and justice for the Palestinian people. As I said earlier, we have just announced that the many will see this as a key focus of your party, and if elected, I would do everything I could to ensure that Palestine remains at the top of our priorities. Because if we cannot fight for justice for the Palestinian people now, after 2 years of a genocide which is still ongoing, then I don't know what else we should be doing. But I have given my commitment to fight for justice for the Palestinians for my life, and that is what I will continue to do.
Excellent, thank you very much. I will move on to Riaz, please.
Absolutely. I've been to Palestine. I've seen the suffering of the Palestinians. I mean, I've arranged local demos, participated in them, I spoke at them, and I've also hosted them. I've also got speakers from all different communities to speak at these rallies and these events. I had a strong online presence supporting Palestinian rights, but until recently I take my post down because I was visiting Palestine and the Israelis would check my phone and would probably not let me in. So, but I'm going to start again. I have started again fighting for the cause of Palestine online. And I've always supported Palestine. So the first meeting I went to in 1984 when Cat Stevens came to Leicester, Yusuf Islam came to Leicester, he done a speech, and I was just hook, line, and sinker. And I'll always push for BDS as well. Boycotting Israeli goods is so important because we've been to all these demos and they're still carrying on what they're doing. I think BDS works better because it hits them in the pocket. and I'll push for BDS more. So if I get elected, I'll definitely push for BDS. Palestine should be at the forefront of any of our campaigns. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Riaz. I will move on to Anwarul, please.
Look, again, I think this is something that I doubt anyone here would disagree with. I'm sure everyone has been on a march, supported the Palestinian cause. The issue for me is not just that we go on marches, but we have to dismantle the systems and the structures that exist that enable the government to actually go against what the vast majority of people in this country are against. I would be very surprised if you knock on a neighbor's door and they're like, oh yeah, we're for genocide, right? I'll be very surprised. And ordinary people are not for this. So there are systems and structures that we need to actually fight against. It isn't just marching. It isn't just sticking stuff on social media. All of those things are really important. We do need to do that. But we also need to identify the democratic processes that are that need to be addressed, whether it's disenfranchising members from actually having a voice and speaking up against those in power structures within a party or purging them. We need to make sure that those systems in our party don't exist before we can go out and actually speak on behalf and stand up for the Palestinians. If we are weak ourselves and we have disenfranchisement within ourselves, how can we help other disenfranchised people? Right? That is really, really important. I think we need to first look inwards and make sure that we are strong and we are capable of having a voice before we can be a voice for other people. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Move on lastly to Anjona, please.
So I've been to national demonstrations, local demonstrations, really frustrated that this Hustings was announced with such short notice. I should be at a local demonstration locally right now. That's where I should be. And actually the genocide is the number one defining issue of our time. It is the litmus test of actually whether anyone has humanity. It's absolutely a travesty that so many people who've been elected on a Labour platform continue to kind of ingratiate themselves with genocide apologists. I've done a lot in terms of workplace action. I've done work in terms of making sure that we're having activity in the workplace, and it is about workers speaking up. Some of that has been also about raising awareness of the kind of impact that the genocide has had on workers locally in terms of their mental health, being harassed even by their employers when they're speaking out about Palestine. All of that needs to happen because we need to be strong as a movement, and all of this has to be not as a top-down process. It has to be as a grassroots process in order for this to be done. If whatever organisation from the top down kind of agrees something, but this is a grassroots issue that actually local people, as Anwar said, really, really feel passionately about, really, really care about and want a difference about. A key issue will be the issue on BDS on pensions.
Sorry, I apologise for that. Okay, thank you very much. All excellent contributions. What I wanted to just move on to now is we've got the closing remarks. However, we're very, very much light on time. We were supposed to have quite a lot of time left over. So it was supposed to be 90 seconds max each, but I'm just going to try and extend that a little bit to 2 minutes, just so you guys have got a nice comfortable time where you can sort of wrap up your remarks and things without feeling pressured. So yeah, I think we'll just start off. So previously it was in the regular order. So I'll start off with Anjona, if you just want to give your closing remark, please.
Sorry, I'm in a really noisy environment. My understanding is you want me to kind of sum up. Is that correct?
I apologize, I was muted, yeah. So 2 minutes just for summing up.
Okay, so this has to be about doing things differently. This has to be about your party doing things that aren't traditional politics. It is about putting in processes around recognising branches so local members can make decisions about local campaigns where members can select the candidates, where they're their own candidates, where they're good electoral opportunities. It's also about putting in democratic systems into the party so that there's democracy plays its part about who makes decisions relating to party elections, policy positions, and making sure that people are accountable. It's also about making sure that the party has excellent policies and practice in relating to safeguarding, using and storing members' data in an ethical manner. None of this is rocket science. We can do this. It is a travesty that this has not been done right now. And if you want movement on it, we have to move. We have to move forward. And also we need to make sure that there are positive action processes in place to make sure that the underrepresented have a better voice, an increased voice in our party, to make sure that we're really, really listening to the people who have so much to contribute to our organisation. It is about changing the culture. At the moment, we have a culture that is broken because it's going down the road of all the other parties, and this has to be different. This has to be inclusive, has to be member-led, and it has to be member and branch driven. And if you want that, you have to vote for change, and that means voting for grassroots left people in order to have that inclusive processes where there are no more witch hunts and where we are working for maximum member-led democracy. Thank you.
My apologies, I mute myself too frequently. Okay, so yeah, excellent. Thank you very much. Can move on to Anwar Rule now, please.
Hi, first of all, thank you for all the volunteers who've actually come out to help and actually get all of these things organised. It is really difficult, but I'm going to be critical of the process and the people who have been in charge. It's not the volunteers that I'll be critical of, and not really even the comrades who are standing on the other slate either. I'll be very clear. We have two options here today. One that is an autocratic process, but asks you to believe in a democratic process while making it almost impossible for those not in power, and especially the independents, to have a voice. Right? Even for this hustings, who was invited to ask the questions? No emails were sent out. Who chose these questions? Where is the transparency in this process? We are expected to believe in comradely behavior of those allowed to leak or who leaked the attack pieces to the right-wing press last summer and tried to purge members from conference and even bar candidates from standing. Where is the democracy? If we do not have democracy in this party that is grounded in the communities and up, there's no point in saying, hey, we're a member-led party. That's just lip service. We have to do it in practice. We've had this kind of nonsense of a conference, I'm sorry, whereby we were invited to rubber stamp essentially two options that have been presented to us as if this is democracy. At no point were we allowed to refine and discuss these and make them the best possible policies and processes for this party. Instead, we're told, hey, conference is supreme, but these were gerrymandered kind of decisions. Here today, and over the next couple of weeks, you're going to have an opportunity to vote for a different kind of party altogether, one that is not an establishment party. To me, the Melly slate, not personally the individuals here, represent the same old establishment politics. We do not want Labour 2.0. We want to actually empower members to build the party they actually want. Democracy or autocracy. Vote for grassroots left, myself, Anwar Khan and Anjana Roy, for the party we were promised. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys. Excellent. So I think we are, bear with me one moment. So just on to Riaz, if you can give your closing statement.
Okay, as a CEC member, my role is to keep your party democratic, principled and rooted in grassroots activism. Ensuring leadership is accountable and communities like ours in the East Midlands are genuinely represented. I'm not offering drama, I'm not into infighting, I'm offering steady, fair and member-focused work. My professional background is about navigating systems calmly and supporting people through them. That's exactly what good governance on CEC requires. So please vote for me and Louise Regan in the coming weeks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Riaz. And speaking of Louise, go over to Louise, please.
Thanks very much. And yes, thanks to people that have organised this at short notice. And thank you, Jordan, for your excellent sharing. I think, it's clear and it's essential that we get branches in place and constituted so that members can take part in those democratic processes. We have local elections coming up. That is going to be a real problem when you look at the chaos that is happening in the government at the moment and the pushback from reform. So we have a lot of work to do. My view is that we should ensure members have the maximum democracy. That is the view of the many. That is my view, and that is what I will fight for. I think in the current world climate, it is more essential now than ever that we organise, get outward facing and build a truly democratic party that will take on what is happening. That means doing things like building for the 28th of March Together demonstration and continuing to fight for justice for the Palestinian people. We need to be outward looking. We need to engage and organise in our communities. We do have a large membership already, but it needs to be bigger. We need to build our party so it is a mass organisation that can challenge the systems that we currently are working in. And so I would please ask people to vote for me and Riaz Khan. I think that we have the experience and skills to take part on the CEC. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much to everyone that's participated. Honestly, incredibly good contributions, and it just fills you with a lot of happiness to see there's so many people who actually care about these issues and are so passionate about them. So from a personal perspective, thank you so much for filling everyone with happiness. I'm just going to conclude with some conclusory remarks just that have been around the voting process. So the voting opens on Monday, the 9th of February and runs until Monday, the 23rd of February. You can find out about the CEC elections, including all the candidates that are present in this and every other hustings in every other region, on the website, yourparty.uk/CEC-elections. It should be just on the main page. In order to vote, you have to have verified your account. So you need to just, if you've not verified it, if you've not clicked the email, just go to yourparty.uk/verify and you'll be able to verify your account. Just wanted to say good luck to everybody that is running. Excellent contributions from all. And thanks to everyone in the YouTube chat for putting up with me as chair. I've tried to remain as impartial as possible. And thanks very much to everyone for attending. It's been fantastic. And we finished early, so even better.
Jordan.
Unless there's anything else, I think that